Breaking news coming out of Kyiv. It is Sunday morning, January 25th, 2026, and Ukrainian EOD teams. They've just pulled a massive 500-kilogram warhead from a Russian Iskander-M.
And this was where?
In a residential neighborhood, the Dniprovsky district. I mean, this thing was sitting right next to a gas station in people's homes.
Wow.
It failed to detonate during a huge overnight barrage, and it's offering us this rare, terrifying, but potentially game-changing look inside Russia's latest weapons.
It is a chilling way to start the day, for sure. But, it's also an incredible intelligence opportunity. And before we really dive into what they found inside that warhead and what it tells us, we do have a quick request for you.
That's right.
If you support Ukraine and you want to stay ahead on these kinds of developments, please just take a second to subscribe to Defense Reports. It really is your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports.
I'm Alex. Join me with Arya in the latest podcast by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdowns of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today, we're going to cover, well, this massive combined aerial attack that just hit Ukraine, 396 weapons in the sky.
That's right. And we're going to analyze the Iskander-1000. It's a new missile threat that essentially redraws the security map of Europe. And we're going to reveal the secret debut of the MEPO-TNG.
Okay, what's that?
It's a next-generation shield. And get this, it's been deployed in Ukraine right now before it's even reached the French army.
You're kidding. So they're the test case. And we also have a cliffhanger that honestly kept me up last night. They found missile debris from a missile manufactured only weeks ago.
Literally Q1 2026.
We have to talk about what that terrifying freshness implies about Russian stockpiles. And finally, this energy island strategy Russia's using to try and freeze Kyiv in what is, well, it's the coldest winter since the invasion began.
There's a lot to unpack, but it really all connects. Let's start with the immediate situation on the ground.
Okay, the numbers. The overnight attack on January 24th, this was not just a few stray rockets. The Ukrainian Air Force tallied 396 aerial weapons. We're talking about a swarm.
It was a saturation strike, absolutely. And the composition is really important here. You had 21 missiles, a mix of ballistic, cruise, hypersonic, and then a staggering 375 drones.
375.
This is the new reality of aerial warfare. You use a mass of cheap drones to overwhelm the sensors, and then you try to slip the heavy hitters through the gaps.
But here's the incredible part. The defense held up, remarkably well. They intercepted 15 of those missiles and 357 drones.
So what's the percentage on that?
That's a 93.9% interception rate. In any other context, that is an A+.
It's an operational triumph, no question. But, in missile defense, even an A+ can lead to tragedy. That remaining 6%, the leakers, they still cause just devastating damage.
Which brings us back to that Iskander-M in the Dniprovsky district.
Yeah.
Right, the one the police and sappers had to deal with on site. I saw the reports. A half-ton warhead just sitting there. Can you imagine the tension? Being that EOD tech, defusing that thing right next to a gas station.
It's just heroism, plain and simple. But from an intel perspective, that dud is a gold mine. The fact it didn't detonate, that could be anything from EW disrupting the fuse to just a simple manufacturing defect.
So what do they do with it?
Now that they have it, Western and Ukrainian analysts are going to tear that guidance system apart. They'll be looking for Western chips. They're going to see exactly how Russia is bypassing sanctions to build these things.
And while unfortunately not everything failed to detonate, we're seeing reports of a strike on the Russian confectionery factory.
In the Holosivsky district, yeah.
A candy factory. This wasn't a military base.
Exactly. One female employee was killed, 2 injured, the top floor is destroyed. It's just a stark reminder that even with these high-tech interceptions, civilians are still right in the crosshairs.
And this feeds into the bigger strategy you mentioned, this energy island idea.
It does.
I wanted to ask about that. We're seeing that 80% of Ukraine is facing emergency power cuts. It's minus 20 degrees Celsius in Kyiv right now. So what is an energy island strategy?
It's a brutal tactic. Instead of trying to just blow up a whole power plant, which is huge and hardened, Russia's hitting the substations, the nodes connecting cities to the grid.
So they're cutting the wires, not breaking the generator.
Precisely. They are trying to isolate Kyiv electrically. Even if the nuclear plants are still generating power, if the lines to the city are cut, Kyiv becomes an island of cold and dark. It creates a localized blackout to try and freeze the population into submission.
That is just
Right?
incredibly cynical. Freeze civilians to force a political concession.
And they're doing it with upgraded weapons. This is where we need to talk about the Iskander-1000.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've known about the Iskander for years. It's their standard short-range ballistic missile. What makes this 1000 variant so different?
The range. I mean, the standard Iskander-M is a range of about 500 kilometers. That was the limit set by the old INF treaty.
Right, the one the US and Russia tore up.
That treaty is dead and buried now. The Iskander-1000, or Iskander-I as some are calling it, extends that range to somewhere between 1,000 and 1,300 kilometers.
So they've more than doubled the range? How? Is the missile bigger?
Not externally, no.
Yeah.
It has to fit on the same launch trucks. What they've likely done is shrink the warhead. They've dropped it from 500 kilos down to maybe 200 or 300.
I see.
And that frees up weight and space for more fuel and a more efficient engine.
So a smaller boom, but it reaches much, much further. What does that mean for the map of Europe?
It changes everything. If you station these in Kaliningrad, that Russian exclave between Poland and Lithuania, an Iskander-1000 can now hit Berlin.
Berlin.
It can hit almost all of Germany, all of Denmark. It puts major NATO capitals in range of a tactical ballistic missile that's mobile and very hard to hunt down before it fires.
That's a massive escalation capability. And it's not just the new designs, it's the production dates. You said earlier they found debris from a KH-101 cruise missile made in Q1 2026. We are still in January.
Literally weeks ago.
Yeah.
This is what we call fresh from the factory.
Is that good news or bad news? I can't tell.
It's a double-edged sword, really. On one hand, it confirms their stockpiles are depleted. They aren't dipping into some vast Soviet-era reserve for these strikes. They're firing what they build almost immediately.
So there's no buffer.
No buffer, but on the other hand, it proves their industrial base is resilient. Despite all the sanctions, all the export controls, they are still getting the chips and materials to build advanced cruise missiles in real time.
The sanctions are leaking.
They are. It's a just-in-time supply chain for terror.
But there was one piece of good news in the offensive analysis. The KH-22s. These are those ancient, massive anti-ship missiles, right? The carrier killers.
Yes, the KH-22 and its upgrade, the KH-32. They fly high, they dive at Mach 4, and they're notoriously inaccurate against land targets. They're blind beasts, really.
And historically, Ukraine couldn't do anything about them.
Almost zero success. They're just coming too fast and too steep for older systems.
But in this attack...
Ukraine shot down 9 out of 12.
Wow, that is a huge jump. How do they pull that off?
It's a testament to the Western air defense systems, the Patriot and the MPT. They finally have enough of them, and the crews have enough experience to predict the flight profiles. They've essentially cracked the code on the KH-22.
That's a major tactical win.
It is, because those missiles were basically unstoppable a year ago.
And of course, there's always a but. The Zircon.
The Zircon. Russia launched 2 of these hypersonic cruise missiles from Crimea. None were intercepted.
So that's the hole in the shield.
For now, yes. The Zircon is faster, it maneuvers more aggressively than the KH-22. It remains a very serious threat that current systems still struggle to catch consistently.
Okay, well, speaking of catching things, let's pivot to the defense. Because while Russia is rolling out new missiles, Ukraine is fielding some serious new hardware, too. We keep hearing about the Patriot, but you said there's a new player in town.
The SAMP. It stands for New Generation, the Franco-Italian system. And here's the real scoop. France and Italy don't even have this deployed in their own armies yet.
Wait, what? So Ukraine is getting it before the nations that actually built it?
Correct. It is being deployed in Ukraine first. And this is significant because the MMPT-NG uses the new Aster 30 B1NT missile. It was specifically designed for this new era of threats.
So things like maneuvering ballistic missiles like the Iskander.
Exactly, and hypersonic speeds.
What makes it so much better than the old one?
The radar is the big leap. It gives you 360-degree coverage and a detection range over 300 kilometers. The old systems had blind spots, this one sees everything. It basically turns the air defense bubble into a solid iron dome.
That's incredible. It really just highlights how Ukraine has become the front line, the frontier for defense tech. But these systems, Patriots, MMPTs, they use insanely expensive missiles. Millions of dollars a shot. How do you possibly sustain that against 375 drones?
You don't. That's the thing. If you fire a $4 million Patriot interceptor at a $50,000 Shahed drone, you lose the war financially long before you lose it on the battlefield. The cost curve battle.
Exactly. And this is where those FPV interceptors come into play.
Right.
Ukraine is now producing these domestic FPV first-person view interceptors at a rate of about 1,500 a day. These are small, fast drones that cost maybe $3,000.
So instead of a missile, they send up a cheap drone to ram the other drone.
Essentially, yeah. Or to detonate near it. The economics are just undeniable. A $3,000 drone killing a $50,000 Shahed is a massive win for Ukraine.
And it saves the big guns for the big threats.
Crucially, it preserves the expensive Patriot and Aster missiles for the Iskanders and KH-22s that the small drones can't touch. It's a layered defense.
Cheap stuff for the cheap threats, expensive stuff for the expensive ones.
And it's working. They're reporting a 68% success rate for these FPV interceptors. That takes a huge load off the heavy systems.
That's just amazing ingenuity. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. The strategic picture. This attack, it didn't happen in a vacuum, did it? There were peace talks going on. That's the diplomatic context that makes this so cynical. This barrage hit at the exact same time as trilateral peace talks were happening in Abu Dhabi.
Between who?
The US, Ukraine, and Russia.
I mean, that sends a pretty mixed signal, doesn't it? Let's negotiate, but hang on, let me just launch 400 weapons at your capital city.
It's a classic Russian negotiation tactic. You escalate to get leverage at the table. They are signaling that despite the talks, they can still inflict massive pain. It's coercion.
How did Zelensky react?
He called the talks constructive, but then he pointed to the strikes and said they show the brutal reality of who they're dealing with.
And the cost of that signal. What did this one attack cost Russia?
Intelligence estimates put it at about $131 million for the January 24th strike alone.
131 million in one night.
To put that in perspective, that's comparable to the entire annual budget of a Russian city like Veliki Novgorod. They're burning a city's worth of budget in a few hours to try and freeze Kyiv.
And meanwhile, Ukraine is using decoys to make them waste that money, right?
Right. The RM-48U decoys. So Russia is firing some of its most expensive missiles at what are essentially plywood and metal reflectors on the ground. It's a financial war as much as it is a kinetic one.
So what does this all mean? Why should our listener care about this specific barrage? What's the so what?
It matters because what we're watching is a race. It is a flat-out race between Russian adaptation, their new engines, their fresh manufacturing, their saturation tactics, and Western air defense updates.
So can the West supply enough interceptors and new tech like the AMPT-NG to keep the lights on in Kyiv?
That's the question for the rest of this winter. Because if that energy island strategy works, the humanitarian crisis could be catastrophic. The grid is holding, but it is fragile. The difference between a cold winter and a frozen city is just a few missed interceptions.
Before we wrap up, you promised us a final thought on the bigger picture here.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this fresh missile intel. If Russia is firing missiles made in January 2026, and at the same time Ukraine is fielding air defense systems that haven't even reached NATO armies yet, we really need to stop thinking of this as just a regional war.
What are we watching then?
We're watching the live fire research and development phase of the next global conflict. The weapons that will define the next decade, hypersonics, AI-driven drone swarms, next-gen interceptors, they're all being forged and tested over the skies of Kyiv right now.
Ukraine is the shield, but it's also the laboratory.
Exactly. It's where the free world's entire security architecture is being battle-hardened in real time.
That's a sobering thought. The future of warfare isn't on the drawing board. It's already here, flying over the Dnipro.
And that's why supporting Ukraine isn't just charity. It's a direct investment in our own future security.
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry.
And if you found this deep dive valuable, please subscribe to Defense Reports. It is your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.
We'll catch you next time. Stay safe.